In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Good and gracious God, we thank you for the gifts you have given to us, especially the gift of our families, the gift of our children, the gift of all those who help in the education, the religious education of our children. We ask you to bless our day today, bless our conversation, our discussion, and bless our school year. May we remember that everything we do for you, and everything we do in our religious education program, our family faith formation program, is to help our families grow closer to you and our children stay close to you, not just today, but each and every day of their lives, for the rest of their lives. And we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
All right, so again, if you're on the windowsill or standing in the back and you'd like a chair, we have a whole rack of chairs over here. Feel free to grab a seat or two if you need them to, you have a table or something. There's a couple of empty spots at the tables you can fill in on, or if you're perfectly content to stand, that is okay too. Throughout the course of the meeting, if you want to get snacks, you can. Kids, I would invite you to see Miss Melissa there in the back waving her hand. Go see Miss Melissa, and she is going to help you have some fun and games and things like that to keep you entertained. So you can go with Miss Melissa now. Kiss Mom and Dad goodbye. You'll see them soon. Just know they're going to have as much fun as you are. I know we have a lot of people, this is their first time entering Faith Formation, so if you do not know me, I am Nate Goya. I am the Director of Faith Formation here at the parish. I am so excited to see you all. It's going to be a wonderful year. We've got a lot of great things sorted out for us, and today, the goal of today is really to just sort of lay out the game plan and expectations and how to succeed at this program so that come September, when we have our first parent meeting, we can dive right in. We don't have to go through the logistics. We can just sort of do the normal routine we'll do for a parent meeting. And, excuse me. And what we're going to cover today in these logistics, I want to talk about the philosophy of our program first. We'll get into the nitty-gritty details. But I studied philosophy in school, and I found more and more that if you understand the philosophy of something, then it makes it a lot easier to understand the nitty-gritty of it as well. And so if you were looking around in the bulletin and things like that, all summer long you saw a phrase, and it's showing up everywhere where Faith Formation pops up. The phrase, stronger Catholics, stronger families. Anyone seen that phrase popping up anywhere at all? See some head nods, excellent, and a few hands, awesome, yeah. And how many of you saw that and went, what in the world is he talking about? Yeah, okay, there's some more head nods, and more enthusiastic head nods. So, all summer long we've had that phrase coming out, and I think that's a great starting point, is why is that the rallying cry for family faith formation? Where does that come from? What does it actually mean? Because it sounds nice. Like we read it, it says, oh, that sounds nice. I feel good when I read that. There's positive feelings. It's much better than pathetic Catholic and weak family. That would be a terrible slogan. So it's much better than that. But where does it come from? And it comes from 3 points in the Catechism of the Catholic Church. And you can look these up later. I'm not going to test you on them or anything, but this is where they come from. It's Articles 22:21 through 22:23. And here's the 3 points. The first one I think you've all heard at least some point in your life, if not once, multiple times, because it's thrown out a lot. People hear it all the time. DRAs like myself love to throw it out there and say this phrase. And the challenge being nobody actually knows necessarily what it means or how to apply it, but we use it a lot. And that first point from the Catechism is, parents are the primary educators of their children in the Catholic faith. How many of you have heard that before? All right. Now, how many of you, when I say that, parents are the primary educators of their children in the Catholic faith, how many of you go, that's a problem? Do know my faith? Like, I'm not able to do that. Like, and feelings of like anxiety, tension, worry when you hear that phrase. Any of that out there? See, head nods. All right. I gotta make a mental note. You guys are head nodders, not hand raisers. That's okay. I'll look for head nods, not hands. So yeah, that phrase by itself is terrifying. And the other side of that coin is DREs, for many, many years, it was terrifying to us too, because we're like, well, what if they get it wrong? Like, what happens then? So, don't worry, both of us were terrified by this phrase. But there's more to it. There's a second point. Second point is the means by which parents are to educate their children in the faith is through the daily model of their word and example. So not lesson plans, not textbooks, not tests, not quizzes, not memorization of facts, not learning objectives, just your daily word and example. And if you think about it, you've done this so many times already. How did you teach your kids to talk? You didn't sit down and say, okay, now we're going to practice the word the today. Can you say the? No, what you did is you talked. And they caught on to it, and they mimicked you. You didn't teach your kids how to walk. They just watched you walking and said, I think I can do that, and fell on their face a couple of times until finally it stuck. And they got it. You know, so your daily word and example. So that should make us feel a little bit better, but there's still some tension there. Because there's still the thought of like, but you don't know my faith. I'm barely hanging on. Or I haven't been practicing my faith for years. Or I don't know if I'm even getting my faith right, or I don't even know what I believe. Like all these doubts and worries still come up a little bit of like, well, what's my model and example like? Like what is that? And that's why there's a third point. This is the one that should make us go, ah. That third point is the daily model of parents is so vitally important to the faith of a child that it is virtually near impossible to replace. You and I as parents are virtually impossible to replace. I mentioned this last year too, like God said, let there be light. I'm making the world so that you, your name, can be the parent of your child. And you are irreplaceable. There is no book. There is no program. There is no DRE. There is no priest. There is no parish. There is no church. There is no pope that can replace the effect you have on the faith of your child. And even in situations where people have to step up and replace a parent, in many of those situations, it can be very good, but would it be as good as the parent? I don't know. There are times we have to do that, and there are times that, we give our kids to other people and say, hey, I want you to be a role model for them, and that's good. But at the end of the day, you as a parent, whether you're biological, adopted, married in, whatever, you are irreplaceable. Called by God from the beginning of time to model your faith, whatever level it is at, for your kids so they can learn to be the best Catholics that God has called them to be. Does that feel pretty good? So, this is why we're doing Family Faith Nation. Because our goal is not to put facts into your child's head. Our goal is that we can help you, give you a situation where you can create Catholic culture in your home. Whatever level of Catholic culture you have, we want to give you the opportunity to build upon it, increase it. And then we want to give you the opportunity to let you and your family spend more time in that Catholic culture, so that you are presenting a model, daily word and example. I can't be the word and example for you, but I can give you the tools to help you do so, the opportunities to do so. And here's the great thing. So, we give you tools to build Catholic culture. As you build Catholic culture, that's going to mean you're going to start talking about things that matter, like your faith, your relationships, God, what meaning of life is for you, things like that. It's going to make you a stronger Catholic, diving into all that stuff. And as you dive into all that stuff, you're going to spend meaningful time with each other as a family, talking about things that matter, and you're going to grow in love and intimacy with each other through those real conversations, because you're talking about real things. And as you have to have those conversations and grow in love with each other, you will become a stronger family too. So hence stronger Catholics, stronger families. And it's not going to be an overnight thing. Some of you it might be. But most likely, it's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to be a process. It's going to be maybe at the end of the year, you look back and you're starting to go, wow, I can't believe how far we've come. Or maybe it takes you 2 or 3 years. And after 2 or 3 years, you look back and go, wow, I can't believe how far we've come from. But it's about providing the opportunity for that growth to happen. Stronger Catholics, stronger families. So, with a vision like that, with a powerful thought like that, the next thing we have to do for you is we have to redefine success in faith formation. Because the definition of success we've been using was excellent when we had a classroom model. It is not so excellent for this. And the definition we had of success previously was, I will take full blame for it as a faith formation director. It was the church's fault that we had this definition of success. And like I said, it served us well in classroom model. It does not serve us well here. Because here was a thought process of success, and see if this resonates with you at all. Thought was, okay, I'm a DRE. If I can get kids in the classroom, I'm winning. Well, you know what? If they show up too, like if they're registered, great, but if they show up, then I'm winning. Well, and if they learn something along the way, if they can tell me some facts, if they know something about Jesus, that's good too. And that was the definition of success. Are you registered? Do you show up? And do your kids learn something? Which was fine. Now parents, you are phenomenal people who rise to the occasion at all times. And so when we as the DREs of the church put out that standard, you guys rose to it. And you said, if I get my kids registered for faith formation, I'm doing good. If I get them to most of the classes, I'm doing better. And you know what? If they learn something along the way and know something about Jesus, that's the best. And the proof in the pudding would be, let's look at some of the conversations we would have, some of the things that made us, I guess maybe the emotion is fearful. A conversation we'd have with like, oh my goodness, I'm so far behind. I didn't realize that registration was happening, and I got to get registered now. Is it too late? What do I have to tell me what I have to do? I will do anything to get my kid into class so that he doesn't fall behind and can make his sacraments and everything. Like, has anyone heard or experienced that before? That tension, that fear, that worry, or like we were out for a month and a half because we underwent surgery or something crazy like that. What do we have to do so we don't fall behind? And that was good. Like, I'm not saying it was bad that we had those conversations. I'm saying that's how we were defining success. And for this, we have to do something different. For this, we have to do something different. So I've got 3 main things that if we do these 3 main things, if you use these as your goals, like if I do these 3 things, I'm being successful at faith formation. And it might sound a little weird to you, but if you do these 3 things, and then I'll give you a couple expectations too, so you have a good expectation going in. So, successful point 1, showing up. But I don't mean showing up like just physically being here. So what I mean is, like, yes, I would love for you to come to the parent meetings and the community meetings, and we'll talk more about that as we go. But what I mean is, showing up despite what happens in your circumstances. So if you have a month where, I don't know, like you all just get this terrible stomach virus and you're just sick for a month, all right? And you're just down for a month, just trying to keep the house together, and you're like having giant direct deliver groceries and just going out in the sunlight to pick them up and that's it. You know, like something crazy like that. And you do nothing for faith formation. I want you to know that's okay. Just when you finish, show up. Say, okay, we're going to do one activity. That's my goal. Let's do one activity. I don't know how much we're going to get done, but it's time to pick up the baton, or let's go again. What happened in the past month, it doesn't affect this. We're working on this now. Because that decision right there is your model and example. Hey, we just came through a terrible, crazy month, but you know what? We're coming back to God and we're coming back to faith formation. You know, if you miss 3 parent meetings because it just doesn't work out, the work schedule takes you away, then you can say, I'm going to make that next one work, and I'm not going to feel guilty about missing the last 3. That's showing up. Showing up again and again. It's just like we tell our kids when they're in sports, you know, oh, you got knocked down, get back up again. So that's my first thing, show up. Don't ever believe you are too far behind to be able to start again. Because you're not. You are never too far behind to give your children a model, an example, or to build on a model example you already give. You're never too far behind for that. So show up. 2, this is a big one. Choosing activities based off of your family's abilities and your children's ages. So there's a whole bunch of activities in the book. You do not and should not do all of them. That is a no-no. Do not do every activity. They are divided up so that they have a variety of activities there because they're trying to have something for everybody in every situation. Because here's the thing, if you are a single parent from a divorce who works a crazy 80-hour-a-week job and you have 3 kids under 12 and you see them every other weekend, what is expected of you is completely different from if you're a stay-at-home mom who's happily married with 1 child who's 8. Because those are 2 completely different situations. So what we expect of you is completely different. In the classroom model, that was not the case. It was, oh, just do chapter 1. Everybody does chapter 1. But here, think about your kids, your schedule, your lifestyle, what works for you. You know? Now, bare minimum. This will be the bottom level, like this is, oh my gosh, we have the terrible stomach virus, and we have time to do like only a little tiny bit this month kind of a deal. Bare minimum, I would encourage you, every month, hang up the picture of the saint of the month, read your scripture verse, that we will provide you a scripture verse of the month, read that verse together 3 times a week as a family, so 3 different days. Do 1 car conversation, which can be done in the car or at the kitchen table or wherever you would like to do it. And aim to get 1 activity done. Whatever that, it could be reading a story of the saint of the month. But like, that's the bare minimum, oh my word, the sky is falling and it's just a bad month kind of a deal. That's like the minimum baseline. Because in theory, in addition to that, in theory, you're going to Mass. Maybe you already have a family prayer routine. You do night prayer or evening prayer or something like that. Maybe you have other Catholic traditions. You have saints hanging up in your house already. Or maybe you, I don't know, whatever. Whatever it is you do that makes you Catholic already, you're doing these things in addition to that. So it's not just the bare minimum, but it's your whole lifestyle that you're building. Because remember, the goal is Catholic culture. Catholic culture that you guys have to spend more time in. So, and then a corollary to that, if you are in pre-K through 1st grade, if you have a child in pre-K through 1st grade, then for you, faith formation is going to look relatively simple, and it's going to be very easy to feel like, well, what are we doing here? Because from pre-K through 1st grade, the most important thing is not the activities you do. The most important thing is the structure, the routine. The routine of your child understanding every week there's a period of time where I sit with mom and or dad. We talk about my faith. And a lot of it's going to be coloring, or looking at pictures, or doodling, or things like that, because that's what they do at that age. That's how they interact with the world. In the classroom model, that's what they do in pre-K through first grade, is crafts and coloring. That's probably what a lot of them are doing in the back right now, is crafts and coloring. So, you might find that your faith formation in pre-K through first grade only takes 10 to 15 minutes a week. But that's also because how big of an attention span does your child have at that age? Maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And for some kids, like for me at that age, 10 to 15 minutes was a generous time frame for attention span. So it's okay that that happens. And again, this is in addition to what you already do. If you have family prayer, or if you're going to mass, or you if you have a little prayer, like for me, whenever I get in the car, we do a Jesus, Mary, and Joseph with me on the way. If you have something like that you do, whatever you have that makes you Catholic already, this is in addition to that. All right, so show up, choose activities based off of your children's age and ability, and number 3, focus on quality, not quantity. So maybe you get real ambitious and say, all right, we got 40 minutes, I'm going to do a car conversation, I'm going to do 2 activities, it's going to be great, we're going to check off a bunch of stuff off of our list. And you sit down and do the car conversation, and the kids get really into it. And there's a lot of back and forth. And you end up spending the whole 40 minutes talking about that car conversation. Do not then say, okay, we still got to do these other 2 activities, let's crank through these. You said you were giving it 40 minutes, you gave it 40 minutes, and you had an amazing conversation. I would rather you have one amazing conversation engaging with your kids, talking about a topic of the faith per week, than get 8 different activities done every week and check them off. Focus on quality, not quantity. So if you do one activity and it just goes really well and your kids are really into it and they're asking questions and they're just really hyper-focused on coloring the face of St. Francis purple, then let them color St. Francis purple, because during that time also, this is your chance to talk to them about, why are you coloring St. Francis's face purple? What's the thought process behind that? Or, do you know what St. Francis does? Why do you think St. Francis has a dove on his shoulder? Just a chance to see what's going on in their heads about ideas of the faith. So show up, focus on age and ability, quality, not quantity. There we go. All right, so then a few expectations going in, and then we can dive into a bit more of the details of the program, zoom in. So your expectations going into this program, what you should expect of yourself and of your family and those around you. 1, be a parent, not an educator. If you are a teacher, I love you and thank you for everything you do. Please do not be a teacher for your child during faith formation. Be a parent. And the difference there is, and it's hard for all of us to flip that hat on and off because they flow so naturally in our personality. But the difference there is when you sit to do faith formation, we aren't looking for outcomes and goals and achievements. We're looking for quality time with our children talking about the faith. And if you look back on your life, you can find times that you can point to that were like that. You can say, okay, this was a moment where we had a really great conversation and it was full of meaning and depth. And it was only 2 minutes because, my daughter's 4 and that's about what she could do at the time. But wow, be a parent, not a teacher. Now, when you get asked questions and you don't know the answer, that's your chance to say, let's discover it together. Or if it's a really big question, that's your chance to say, that's great, let's ask Nate and then we'll find out the answer together. That's what we're here for, Melissa and I. When you guys get those questions, you're like, he's asking this and I have no clue. Send us an email, give us a call. We'll do the best we can for you. If we don't know, we know a guy who wears black that probably does know. So we will help you figure that out so that you and your kid can discuss it and learn it together. So be a parent, not a teacher. have a plan each month. Even if you're the type of family that you say, oh, we just fill it like, oh, look, we have 10 minutes, let's go do faith formation. Even if you're that type of a family, still, at least have a plan of like, here's the activities that I'd like to pull from this month. You know, here's the ones that I think we can achieve this month. And so that way when you have those 10 minutes, you can just go, oh, we're going to do this one. Instead of going, let's see here, what do we got going on? Oh, look, that one looks cool, let's do that one. No, just being able to say, okay, here's my plan. Oh, look, we got 10 minutes, let's hop in. Or if you do have a scheduled time, Tuesdays at 6, you know what you're doing each time when you hop in. So be a parent, not a teacher. Have a plan each month. And this is a big, big one. Please, 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 anytime you sit down and feel confused, concerned, lost, inadequate, like you're behind, anything like that, call us. Call us, email us, get in touch with us. Because this is a huge mind shift. This is a huge mindset shift. Some of you, when in talking to you throughout the past weeks here, I've heard you say, like, this is weird and confusing and I'm not quite sure about it yet, and that's okay. I don't expect you to have this down completely and to be perfectly set in it. You know, Melissa and I, we had time, because of being paid employees here, to sit down and really immerse ourselves in this and what it looks like and what it means and how it works. So we're a bit farther down the road because we put some time in, but that's only so that we can help you. So like, anytime at all. I don't care if you call me every week. I don't care if you call me every day. We want to be able to help you and support you so you feel confident and good going into faith formation. If you call me every week and say, Nate, I only did 2 activities last week, is that enough? We'll have a brief conversation, and I'm most likely going to say, dude, you're doing an awesome job, keep it up. Or do that, depending on the circumstance. You know, you're doing an awesome job. Then, finally, don't expect perfection. When you had a book with like tests and quizzes and stuff, that was almost an expectation. It's okay, try and get all of these right, you know? That's how that system works. Here, don't expect perfection. I guarantee you, 100%, money back guarantee, you will not get this perfect. Neither will I. I had multiple activities last year that fell so completely flat on their face with my family. It was a disaster, and thank God for my wife, she pulled up on the wheel and just barely saved the whole thing each and every time it happened. Because she homeschools them, so she knows a bit more about how they think and everything. You're going to have times where life is going to happen, you're going to be busy. You're going to drop the ball. You're going to have times where you're going to be super stressed, you're not going to show up in your best state of mind for faith formation because it was a rough day. You're going to have times when maybe your kids are fighting back on you and you're just like, I can't do that today. And that's all part of the process. It's going to be messy. It's going to be messy. That stronger Catholic, stronger family thing, like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. So give yourself loads of grace on this. Alright, so let's talk about the actual program flow. You've got success key, you've got the philosophy, you've got your success keys, you've got expectations, now the actual program flow. The general flow is going to look like this. Generally speaking, and there is a calendar in your folders for this, generally speaking, the first Sunday of the month is going to be a parent meeting from 10 to 11 a.m. right here. There's a couple exceptions, but overall, that's going to be the case. During those parent meetings, we will have food, we will have childcare, we will have a super brief teaching on one of the topics that you will be working on that month. And I mean, it's going to be like 1 point. If you were here last April, you remember we talked about the 4 marks of the church. Very simply, just glaze over the top, here we go, kind of a deal. That kind of a teaching. And then you're going to have some time to network with other parents, plan your month out. What activities do I want to work on this month? Do I know when I want to do faith formation this month? Which ones do I think my kids will work well with? Which ones am I like, whoo, no, not doing that one. So sometimes network and plan your month. And then we'll have a brief time of adoration. The goal each month is 10 minutes. So 5 minutes that you'll have on your own and 5 minutes that you'll have with your kids. We'll hoping that works. It depends how long I talk each month, which I'm working on. And then after adoration, whatever that teaching I give you is, you'll do an activity from the book with your kids related to that teaching, so that what you hear about, you'll be applying with your family right away. And we're going to try and make it one of the activities that's relatively universal, that has some coloring or crafty things to it, those types of things, so that regardless what age your kids are, they have some way to connect with it. So do bring your kids every month. That is strongly encouraged, to bring your kids every month, because they'll get to do an activity with you. You'll have a win under your belt every month when you leave this parent meeting, because you have one activity done. So every month you bring your kids and you give yourself a pat on the back and say, good job, me. I already started off on the right foot. Now, if you miss a parent meeting, don't say, bad job, me, you're behind. Don't do that. But, as much as you can, bring your kids and you'll get an activity done with them right here that you got the teaching on. So parent meetings first Sunday of the month. Then you'll go do whatever activities you have planned whenever you have them planned at your home. Generally speaking, the third Sunday of the month will be community meetings. So a few things we tweaked about community meetings. One, they are now 10 to 11 a.m. on Sundays. So all your meetings, parent meetings and community meetings, are 10 to 11 a.m. on Sundays. Every month. And that means they're also only an hour instead of an hour and a half. Two, we are tweaking those meetings to be a bit more, if your kids participated in VBS, they're going to be more like VBS type activities. So we'll have crafts, we'll have music, we'll have games. We're going to open and close with a picnic like we had before, because that just seems to make sense and it's fun and it's nice and so on. But in between those two picnics will be VBS type stuff that we're going to try and keep as related to the topic that you're doing that month as we can. Then at these meetings, so this is something that you can consider now, every month you get your folder. You have your gray folders there, and there'll be stuff in your folders relevant to the month. Have a calendar or a flyer or whatever. The goal here is every month to take out the stuff from your folder and leave the folder here. We'll come around and collect them and things like that. So you take the stuff in the folder home, you leave the folder here. Now this is going to make so many of you so happy. What I'm about to tell you, you're just going to go, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I got to get them all. Every month you're here, you get a sticker on your folder. And now you may be thinking, oh no, I already know of one parent meeting I can't make it to. I'm not going to get all my stickers. I'm absolutely going to bother. Good news. If you can't make it to a parent meeting or a community meeting, if you can't make it to them, be in touch with Melissa. Because if you stay in touch with us and say, hey, I'm not going to be there because whatever, awesome. You won't get a sticker, but you'll get a little smiley stamp. Because this is how we're gauging engagement with you guys. So communicating with us saying, hey, I can't be there, but I'm aware of everything and I'm watching the recording and stuff, you get a smiley stamp for that, And being here, you get a sticker. And then finally, the other part of this is every month there'll be, just like last year, there'll be a quick 4-question survey. And we want you to fill out that survey every month, regardless of what happened. I don't care if you did nothing for the whole month. Fill out the survey. Fill out the survey, because this also helps us gauge the engagement of the program. Let's see here. Then, that's the general flow. Am I missing anything? See, Melissa normally does this part, and I just picked it up about 10 minutes ago when we looked at the number of kids coming. So, you've got your parent book, you've got your kids book. Okay, so your parent book and kids book go together. So, if you look through your parent's book for the activities, whatever activities you look at, it will usually say for most activities, you can find the supplement to this in the kids book on page whatever. So it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. Like if you're on page 8 of the parent book, that doesn't mean page 8 of the kids book goes with that page. It'll actually tell you this is the page it goes with. It'll also tell you when, like, hey, if you have kids under the age of 5, here's a way you can do this activity. If you have kids over the age of 5, here's a way you can do this activity. If you have kids in wide age ranges, so I have 9, 6, and 4 at home. Like the way we handled that last year was the 4-year-old colored, just like I said earlier. He did a lot of coloring, but he was there with us. The 2 older ones did the conversational stuff and so on and reading, and the 4-year-old was just there. And he was very happy to be there and color his picture. He would say, it's time for faith formation. He'd go, I color my picture! I'm like, yes, you color your picture. And it's okay for them to be involved just in that way. They don't necessarily, if they want to talk about the stuff, awesome, but they don't have to. If they want to just color, that is okay. A few quick ideas of things you can do to enhance your family's experience. You can use these or not use these. It's completely up to you. One, when you hang up the Saint of the Month picture, do a procession. Have your kids lead it. Whether you have 1 or 10 kids, have them lead it. So you give them the picture of the Saint of the Month, and they lead you around the house, up the stairs, down the stairs, singing whatever song you want, whatever song they want. Just make it a church song of some sort or a God song of some sort. My kids are particularly fond of Hark the Herald Angels Sing, regardless of the season. So, let them take the lead in that way. Just march around the house singing, and the goal is they end at the refrigerator or wherever you hang the Saint of the Month. On the first page of each month, it sort of gives you an outline of the overview of the month, and there's always like a cool little family thing in there that's often related to the Saint of the Month. So last year, some of the things we had was make a blueberry pancake breakfast in honor of St. Bridget, or make an Italian dinner, or buy out an Italian dinner, or go out to eat for Italian dinner for Catherine of Siena, or go bowling, just some sort of really fun family activity. Those count. You can use those as activities. Those count. Additionally, if you go to 40 hours, if you go to the parish mission, if you go to adoration on Wednesdays, if you do any of those things, those count towards faith formation. Those are part of your faith formation. So if the parish mission comes along and you say, hey, you know what? We're going to skip an activity and do the parish mission instead, that counts. Because remember, the goal is what? What are we building? Catholic culture. Thank you. So Catholic culture is the goal. And so parish mission 40 hours totally does that. Totally does that. Okay. So what we can do is I got a couple minutes. I can take a couple questions now, and I'll have more time for questions at the end. But we are going to close with adoration today, and it's going to be like 5 minutes with you guys, 5 minutes with your kids, and I don't want to screw that up. I want you guys to be able to have that full effective time. So if you have a couple questions now, I can take a couple questions, and I'll take more afterwards. Of recordings? Oh, okay, yes. So video-wise, if you were in 2nd grade last year, your whole course was video-based. This year, it is not video-based. However, there are, so when you go through the book, they reference a couple things. The Sophia Institute has a couple videos here and there that they say, hey, you can use. But on the same hand, if you're cruising through Formed or YouTube and you find something relevant that you want to use, go for it. That's okay. I wouldn't spend hours doing so, but if you stumble upon something or somebody says, hey, we watch this, or if you still have access to the blessed videos and one of them seems relevant, go ahead, you use them. However, most of it, even the videos that it does provide, they're meant to be conversation launchers as opposed to actual knowledge, if that makes sense.
Anything unique for second graders this year for First Communion?
Anything additional?
Yeah.
All right, so second graders, so the topic for this year is sacraments. So you're covering all the sacraments throughout the course of the year. And the book actually will cover even how to receive confession and communion and things of that nature. The only things I would recommend for second grade families is one, make sure that you find time to go to Mass and bring your kids with you. Because the book will teach you and your family the theology of the sacraments, but the absolute best way for them to learn the logistics is watching you. Just going through the communion. Obviously, they're not going to receive yet, but just going through that communion line with you, they'll catch on to it, just like they did with walking and talking. Talk to any Eucharistic minister at all, and they'll tell you their stories about when they almost gave a kid their first communion because the kid knew exactly what to do. I've got about 3 of those stories myself. So I would say make extra sure that your kids are coming to Mass with you so they can see the process. If you go to confession, 2 of our community meetings this year will be a penance service, so we'll have those available for you. So bring your kids to that, even though they can't go. They'll at least see you going. Maybe they'll ask questions about it. Those kinds of things are going to be very supportive towards them receiving their sacraments. We will again have a regular sacrament meeting for the second grade families in terms of details and things like that. Yeah. Oh.
Last year, Melissa was kind enough to give me 1 extra workbook for kids. Do you think you might have 1 extra? If I don't wrote the 14-year-old, they would nice enough to have.
No, absolutely. We can do that for you. See me afterwards. We'll get you hooked up.